Hey guys, welcome to my channel Learning Made Easy Peasy. Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Today in this class we are going to learn the full history of 8th standard textbook, that is the Karnataka State Government published textbook, and this video is related to only competitives. One thing is to be noted that the Karnataka State Government published textbook of 8th standard is not divided into any parts. However, I have divided this text into two videos for your convenience. The textbook contains 12 lessons, but in this particular video, that is the part 1 video, we are going to deal and study the first 6 lessons only. I hope this is clear. So let's begin. The first lesson in this textbook is sources. If there is no source, then there is no history. If the things used by human beings in the past have remained, then they are called as the sources by historians. So sources is nothing but the past remains. Primary sources, materials needed for the writing of history. Primary sources can be divided into two, that is literary sources and archaeological sources. Both are very important. Literary sources. In literary sources, we have written literature and oral literature. In oral literature, we have folk story, folk songs, folk legends, and ballads. In the written literature, we have native written literature, that is the literature which is written by the natives of India. And foreign written literature is the literature that is written by the foreigners or traders who had come to India. Important works. All these works are very important. Please remember them. I will try to make it easy for you to remember. Okay. The first work is Arthashastra by Kautilya. We all know this. Next is Gatha Saptasati by King Hala. How will you remember this? See, in King Hala we have H-A, her. And in Gatha Saptasati also we have H-A twice. So Gatha Saptasati was written by King Hala. Like this you can just connect the H-A and remember. Mudra Rakshasa by Vishakadatta. In Mudra Rakshasa we have Sh, and in Vishakadatta also we have Sh. So connect and remember. Rajat Rangini by Kalhana. In Rajat Rangini, we have Rangini. Rangini, Rang means what? Colors. And in Kalhana, we have Kal. Kal means tomorrow. So tomorrow we will have all the colors. That is, we will get the Rang milenge, lekin Kal milenge. So Rajat Rangini was written by Kalhana. Harsh Charite was written by Bana Bhatta. Harsha means rain. So whenever there is rain, rain makes ban, that is one, forest. So rain is connected to one, that is ban. Like this you can connect Harsha by Banna, Bana Bhatta. So Harsha Charite was written by Bana Bhatta. Prithvi Raja Raso by Chand Bardai. How was the face of the Raja? It was like Chand, that is moon. So the face of Raja was like Chand. Prithvi Raja Raso by Chand Bardai. Vikramarjuna Vijaya by Pampa. Pampa is a poet who used to always win. That is Vijaya. Vijaya means win. Vijay, win. So Pampa Vijaya. Vikramarjuna Vijaya by Pampa. Indica by Megasthenes, Gokoki by Fahian, Siyuki by Huyen Sang, Geography by Ptolemy. These works you have to remember somehow. Tarike Farishta by Farishta. In the work itself, the name of the writer is given. That is Farishta. Tuzuke Babari by Babar. Again in the work itself, the name is given. That is Babar. So Tarike Farishta was written by Farishta and Tuzuke Babari was written by Babar. Archaeological sources. In archaeological sources, we have inscriptions, coins, monuments, and other ruins. The hidden things in the earth are dug out by using a scientific method. This scientific method is called excavation. What it is called? Excavation. Please remember this. First, let us see the inscriptions. Inscriptions means engraved writings. Ashoka's inscriptions were the earliest inscriptions found in India. This is very important. Whose inscriptions were the earliest inscriptions that were found in India? It was Ashoka's inscriptions. The other inscriptions are also very important, like Samudragupta's Allahabad pillar inscription, Immadi Pulakeshi's Aihole inscription, Kharavela's Hathi Gumpa inscription, Uttara Meruru inscription narrates the rural administration of the Chola kings. All these inscriptions are to be remembered, they are very important. Next, we have coins. Samudragupta had minted 7 different types of gold coins. Based on the pictures of those coins, it is said that Samudragupta was a lover of music and he had conducted or performed the Ashwamedha Yaga. This was asked in one of the previous competitive exams, so please remember this. Then we have Gautami Putra Satakarni. He got the name of Nahapana erased and engraved his name on the coins. Gautami Putra Satakarni defeated Nahapana. Roman coins are found in Bengaluru. This shows what? That the Roman civilization had some trade relationship with Bengaluru. Then we have monuments. Mehroli's iron pillar and Vijaypura's whispering gold gumbas are the evidences of the then science and technical knowledge. Very, very important, this was asked. Chittor's Vijay Stamba victory pillar tells us about the victory of Ranakum. This is also very important. Please remember. The Chittor's Vijay Stamba, that is the victory pillar of Chittor, talks about what? It tells us about what? It tells us about the victory of Ranakumbh. Ranakumbh. Carbon-14 dating procedure, when applied on the biological ruins found in these sites, one can arrive at the accurate period of the ruins. C14, that is the carbon-14, is a radioactive carbon. Important again. Done only on the biological fossils. C14 and C12 will be present in equal amount in every living being. After the death of the living being, C12, that is carbon 12, remains constant. But C14 starts losing its volume. Loses half of C14. The living beings lose half of C14 by 5,700 years. This year is important. Please remember. If one can estimate the levels of C12 and C14, then one can estimate the accurate age of the fossil. Fossils which are 10,000 years old can also be identified using the carbon dating method. All this is important. Here we have completed the first lesson. The second lesson is Geographical Features and Prehistoric India. India is a peninsula. What do you mean by peninsula? A country that is surrounded by water on the 3 sides is called as peninsula. India shares its boundaries with Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, China, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Myanmar. So India shares its boundaries with total 7 countries. This is important. Please remember. It consists of 28 states and 8 union territories and 1 national capital, that is Delhi. Geographical features of India: Himalayan mountains, the Indo-Gangetic plain in the north, the Deccan Plateau, the coastal regions in the south. The Narmada River, this is important. The Narmada River separates India into 2 parts, that is the Malwa Plateau or the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau in the south. The Indian coastline is of 6,100 kilometers. This is again important. Please remember this. It is 6,100 kilometers, total coastline of India. See, in this map, you can see that India is a peninsula. How do we say that? It is surrounded by water on the 3 sides. That is, in the east, we have Bay of Bengal. In the west, we have Arabian Sea. And in the south, we have Indian Ocean. That is why it is called as peninsula. Also, the river of Narmada flows here. Can you see that? Here. And it divides India into two parts. The first is this part, that is the Malwa Plateau, the Central Highlands, and the second part is the Deccan Plateau. I hope this is clear. The eastern coastal line is called as Coromandel Coast, whereas the western coastal line is called as the Konkan or the Malabar Coast. Look here, this is the eastern coastal line. It is called as what? Coromandel Coast. And this western coastal line is called as Konkan Coast and Malabar Coast. Konkan and Malabar Coast. Then, the period before the discovery of the art of writing is called as the prehistoric age. The scholars who studied the prehistoric age are called as archaeologists. So, who are the archaeologists? Archaeologists are the scholars who studied prehistoric age. The relics of hunting and food gathering humans are available in Bhimbetka, that is in Madhya Pradesh, Hunasagi, and Kurnool in India. Very, very important. Relics of hunting and food gathering humans are available in Bhimbetka, Hunasagi, and Kurnool in India. Areas where people used stones to create various tools to have been thought to be the first industrial site of human beings. This was asked in the UPSC prelims examination. It is very important, please remember. Signs of ashes have been obtained in the caves of Kurnool. Cave drawings are seen in Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Karnataka. 12,000 years ago, a major change took place in the Earth's environment, that is, the Earth's climate. What it was? See, the Earth's environment or the climate used to be very cold, but Earth's temperature began to gradually increase. That was the major change. The age that prevailed 2 million years ago is the oldest age and is called as the Old Stone Age. It stretches over a period of 12,000 years. Three stages are there, that is the early, the middle, and the new Old Stone Age. The Old Stone Age is divided into early, middle, and new. The period from 12,000 years to 10,000 years is called as the Middle Stone Age, also called as the delicate stone tools. Why? Because in the Middle Stone Age, the tools of stone which were used were very small in size. That is why those tools were called as delicate stone tools. And the New Stone Age was after 10,000 years. Old Stone Age, it is divided into early, middle, and late Old Stone Age. Then we have Middle Stone Age. Then we have New Stone Age. New Stone Age comes only after 10,000 years. In the New Stone Age, the grinding stones were used. Then pots and pans were made. People had learned to weave cloth. All these things had started in the New Stone Age. This is important. Here we have completed the second lesson. Let's move to the third lesson, Ancient Civilizations of India. Archaeologists have excavated a cellar in Burzahom in Kashmir. So where it was excavated? In Burzahom in Kashmir. So this place is very important. Please remember that. What do you mean by cellar? Cellar is a room which is below the ground level in a house, often used for storing wine or coal. Then, a site named Mehergarh near the fertile plain of Bolan Pass, which leads to Iran. This is also important. The people of Mehergarh were the first ones to have learned the cultivation of barley and wheat crops and the rearing of goat and sheep. The first village that was noticed was Mehergarh. Very important, please remember. The ancient sites of Harappa were discovered by the engineers when the railway lines were being laid 150 years ago in the Sindhu Valley region of Punjab. Harappan civilization, the city was said to be 4,600 years old. Here is a map. Can you see that? This is the extent of the Harappan civilization, and there are important places also like Harappa, Mehergarh, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal. And this is the picture of the ruins of the Harappan civilization. It still looks so beautiful, isn't it? Okay. Harappa had two parts. Western was narrow and elevated. Western part was narrow, but it was elevated. That is, it was above the ground level. Whereas the eastern part, it was wide and lower. So it was lower. This western part, which was narrow and elevated, was called as citadel. Noteworthy buildings were there inside the citadel. Mohenjo-daro had a bath tank. Fire altars have been discovered in other cities like Kalibangan and Lothal. This is also important. Seals obtained in Mesopotamia reveals that it had trade relations with Indus Valley civilization. The town of Lothal of Gujarat survived for some more years. That means, after the decline or the disintegration of the Harappan civilization, the Lothal town of Gujarat was still there. It still survived for some more years. But after surviving for some more years, even this town disintegrated. Then the Aryans compiled the Vedas. The Vedic period is a period between 1500 to 700 BCE. In the Vedic period, we have two periods. That is the pre-Rig Veda period, or you can say just Rig Veda period was from 1500 to 1000 BCE, and the post Rig Veda period was from 1000 to 700 BCE. In the beginning, Vedic period, the Vedas were only in the oral form. So in the beginning of the Vedic period, the Vedas were only in the oral form. There are four Vedas, that is Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda. All are important. Every Samhite has a text called Brahmana, and every Brahmana has an Aranyaka and an Upanishad. This is important. Let us first see the Rig Veda. Rig Veda has 1028 suktas or prayer songs. I'm very sorry for the typo. It is 1028 suktas or prayer songs. They were grouped under 10 mandalas. The language used in Rig Veda belongs to the Indo-European family of languages. An emerging social system in the Purusha Sukta that appeared in the 10th mandala of Rig Veda during 1000 BC. According to this, the gods created Adi Purusha, whose mouth became the Brahmanas, shoulders became the Kshatriyas, thighs became the Vaishyas, and the Shudras were born from his feet. In the later Vedas, the word Varna appears. This is important. The word Varna appears in later Vedas. Shudra Varna, local tribal groups like Dasyu, Pani, Dasa, they were all Shudra Varna. Patriarchal family was the main social unit. They were not aware of the usage of iron. The Rig Vedic people were not aware of the usage of iron. They were using mature and processed plants as charcoal to melt metals. Brass and alloy was called as ayas. These kind of terms are to be remembered. They are very important, they will be asked. The word pani was used to refer to the local rich tribe. The cultivable land was called as kshetra and the cultivation was called as krushi. All this is important. An irrigated land belonging to Aligram of Swat Valley is found and it belongs to the 11th century BCE. Oxen was used. Even in the Rig Vedic period, oxen were used in agriculture. Okay, please remember that. Yava means barley, Grama means village, Rajan or Raja means head of the tribes, Trukshi of Puru clan and Sudhas of Bharata clan. Here, one thing is to be understood. There were certain tribes which had only one Raja or Rajan, whereas there were certain other tribes which had more than one Raja, that is, 2 or 3 Rajas used to be there. Like in the Puru clan over here, Trukshi was the only Raja. Whereas in Bharata clan, you can see that Sudhas, the word itself tells us that it was more than one person. So Sudhas were the Rajans or the Rajas. They had Sabha and Samiti. The people who ruled over the common people were called as Shatra. Again, important. The one who fights or a soldier was called as Yodha. All these terms are very important. Like Barle was called Yava, Grama means village, Rajan or Raja means head of the tribes, then Shatra, Yodha, all these terms are very important. They will be asked definitely. Please remember them. Yagna was the epicenter of the religious practices. Well, why were these yagnas created? Yagnas were created for several reasons, like to get good rains and harvest. They were also conducted seeking the help of the gods to defeat the enemies like Dasyus, Dasas, Pani, etc. The priests who conducted the yagna were called as Hotur. This is also important. Was given more prominence. 200 shlokas were on fire and 250 shlokas were on Indra. The minor god of cultivation was Kshetrayapati, god of plow, Devi Sita, minor house deity Vasutoshpati. All these are important. There are similarities in the characters and names that are found in Rig Veda and the Indo-Iranian religious text of Avesta. Again, please remember this. Post-Rig Veda period. Let us now understand this post-Rig Veda period. Three priests who conducted three different types of yagnas. Very important. Please remember their names and the work that they did. First was Saman, Udgatri singer. Second was Advaryu, the one who recites Yajur Shutras. Third was Atharvan, Angira, priest of Agni. Yajurveda has two different types of texts. Black Yajurveda, which was called as Krishna, white Yajurveda, which was called as Shukla. This black Yajurveda explains the way of reciting the mantras, whereas the white Yajurveda had only mantras. There is a reference to iron in this Yajurveda. That is why we can say that this Veda is not before 1000 BCE. Atharva Veda used the language of Brahmanas. There were four divisions: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Dasyus and Dasas were kept outside the Varna system. The early food collecting tribes like Nishada and Chandala, they were called as untouchables. Again, very important. Please remember the names: Dasyus, Dasas, Nishada, Chandala. Women were considered as the embodiment of lies. There is a reference to dowry in Atharva Veda. Again, very important. The reference of dowry is in which Veda? It is in Atharva Veda. Iron axes were used. 6 and 8 oxen driven plow in Atharva Veda, 12 oxen driven plow in Yajur Veda. This is again very important. Look at the number. You should remember the number of oxen that were driven in which Veda. Okay, in Atharva Veda we have 6 to 8 oxen driven plow, and in Yajur Veda we have 12 oxen driven plow. Crops referred in Vedas were paddy, barley, black gram, kadunellu, green gram, sesame, horse gram, wheat, foxtail millet, common finger millet, poor's finger millet, and masoor. Except for kadunellu, 9 out of 12 crops were cultivated before 1500 BCE. Sugarcane means ikshu. Please remember these kind of names, they are very important. Ikshu. Sugarcane was called as ikshu. Is mentioned as the 13th crop in another sukta. Whoever that was not involved in agriculture and business were called as Vyatras, which means outsiders. So Vyatras means what? Outsiders. The technology of converting iron to steel was first found in West Asia and moved to Eastern countries after 10 BCE. The iron articrafts found in Atranjikhera, Western UP supports this observation. The word pur that comes in Shatapatha Brahmana indicates a one-door dwelling surrounded by fencing and walled with good protection. The present Kurukshetra was a habitat of the Kuru tribe. The Pandras in the far east and the Andhras of the south were also called as untouchables. Again important. Pandras of the far east and Andhras of the south. They were also considered as untouchables. A king is described in Atharva Veda as the one who rules all is like a god in human form. A coronation ceremony to mark the ascendance to the throne by the king called Rajasuya came into existence. Symbol of king's power was Ashwamedha Yaga. This was a very important yaga. Rudra and Vishnu gained significant position in the post-Rigvedic period. In Upanishads, the new concepts like karma, rebirth of the soul were created. This is also important. The new concepts of karma and rebirth of the soul are seen in which book? It is seen in the Upanishads. Here we have completed the third lesson. Fourth lesson, ancient civilizations of the world. We first have the Egyptian civilization. Egyptian civilization developed or took birth on the banks of river Nile. They invented the calendars. They had a symbolic language that is called as hieroglyphics, that is sacred writings. It was in the form of small drawings. Osiris is the most powerful god of life and death. Here, we have a map which shows you the extent of Egyptian civilization and where it was exactly. This is the Egyptian civilization. This is a picture of pyramids and certain ruins that are seen in the Egyptian civilization. This is their writing. See how it is in the form of pictures, like there is one bird over here and a box over here. This is a mummy. The entire body was preserved and the protected body was called as mummy. The picture that you have just seen is mummy. The grave was considered as the true place for an Egyptian. This is important. Tall towers were built on the graves and it is called as the pyramids. The kings of Egypt were called as pharaohs, and pharaoh means a person who lives in a palatial house. Again important. Egypt was first ruled by an Arabian tribe called Hyksos for 500 years. Before they started ruling Egypt, Egypt was independent. Then, again in 1700 BCE, the people of Thebes made Egypt free. After 1000 years, Sardanapalus of Isaiah captured Egypt. Persian Emperor Cambyses occupied Egypt in 6th century BCE. After that, we have Alexander who occupied Persia in 4th century BCE, so Egypt became a province of Macedonia. Alexander founded the city of Alexandria in Egypt. Again important. Last came the Romans in 39 BCE. The last Egyptian queen, Cleopatra, in 30 BCE, Augustus Caesar defeated her. It is said that the Romans feared the beauty of this queen Cleopatra more than the power of the troops of this Egyptian civilization. The second is the Mesopotamian civilization. Mesopotamia means a valley between two rivers. The land which inspires awe and fascination is called as the land between the rivers or the Mesopotamia by Greeks. The two rivers were the Euphrates and the Tigris. The Sumerians were the first ones to evolve the system of writing in Mesopotamia. Important. Their system of writing was called as cuneiform. What was it called? Cuneiform. Again important. Babylonia, southern part of the valley between the Euphrates and Tigris. Hanging Garden was created on the banks of the river Euphrates around 7th century BCE. It is considered as one of the seven wonders of the old world. Can you see here? This map shows you the extent of the Mesopotamian civilization. These were the rivers, the Euphrates, then Tigris, and in middle we have the valley. That valley is a place where the Mesopotamian civilization developed. This is a picture of ziggurats. This is their writing, that is cuneiform writing. Look at the way they used to write. And this is a beautiful picture of the beautiful hanging garden. Nebuchadnezzar II created it. Nebuchadnezzar's wife Amytis was from Miad, and Miad was known for gardens and greenery. So Amytis used to miss the greenery and the gardens of Miad, and she used to be very upset. Because of which Nebuchadnezzar II created the hanging garden for his wife to please his wife Amytis. Some scholars opine that it was created by the Assyrian queen Samuramat. The Sumerians, hilly tribes from the north, were the first to arrive in the Mesopotamia. This is again important. Ziggurats are the artificial hills for worship. Jews called these as the towers of Babel. Very important. Jews called the ziggurats as the towers of Babel. The law codes of Hammurabi, the main source of it are the rock edicts found in 1901 CE. Today this is kept in the Louvre Museum of Paris. The logic of the law codes of Hammurabi was an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. The most famous king of Amorites was Hammurabi. Very important. Hammurabi, the great king Hammurabi belonged to which dynasty? It was Amorites. The Assyrians were the followers of Asura, the desert god. Again important. Nebuchadnezzar II was the greatest king of Chaldeans. This is also important. Nebuchadnezzar II belonged to which dynasty? He belonged to Chaldeans. The third and the last we have the Chinese civilization. The Huanghe River was known as the China's sorrow. Which river it is? Huanghe. This is also important. People of that area refer to it as the symbol of sorrow. The first ruling family of the Chinese civilization was Shang dynasty. Again important. Shang dynasty was the first ruling family of the Chinese civilization. The Great Wall of China. 7 big states were created. Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi ordered that the walls of the northern Chinese states be connected. So all these 7 big states were connected. Its construction began in the 7th century BCE and continued till the 16th century. The length of it is more than 5,000 kilometers. It is considered as one of the 7 wonders of the world. You can see here this map shows you the extent of the Chinese civilization. This is India. This is the beautiful breathtaking picture of the Great Wall of China. This is their writing. It was called as ideographic script. And this is porcelain. Porcelain originated in China. Semi-porcelain objects were in use from 1600 BCE. Han Dynasty, that is 200 BCE, during their time itself, the glazed porcelain was used. The Chinese writing began with pictures and got transformed into an ideographic script. This is also important. Their script was called as ideographic script. Here we have completed the 4th lesson. The 5th lesson, Greek, Roman and American civilizations. The first civilization is Greek civilization. Greece is a peninsula in the Mediterranean Sea. The ancient Greek was called as Hellenes. Again important. Later Italians called Hellen as Greek. This map shows you the extent of the Greek civilization. These are the important philosophers: Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. They are all very important. The city-states are called as follows in Greek language. Athens and Sparta were the two important city-states of Greece. Let us first see the Athens. Athens was the capital of Attica city, Attica state. Administrator named Archon. So the administrator of Athens was Archon. The age of Pericles is called as the golden age of Athens. This is important. Whose age was called as the golden age of Athens? It was the age of Pericles. Athens was called as the school of Hellas by Pericles. Again important. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle belonged to Athens. Then the second city-state was Sparta, military city-state of Greece, and Darian tribe. It was the city-state of Darian tribe. Athens organized a federation of city-states called as Confederacy of Delos. This Confederacy of Delos stimulated enmity between the Athens and Sparta. Two Peloponnesian wars were fought between these two city-states, that is Athens and Sparta. Athens lost to Sparta and became the feudatory of Sparta. Why so? Because Sparta was a military city-state. Gods resided on the Olympus mountain. Zeus is the most important god and Hera is his wife. Important. Apollo, Aphrodite and Eris. Remember the names. Okay, these were all the gods of Greeks. Athens was the patron goddess of Athens. Athena was the patron goddess of Athens. Zeus temple at Olympia. Olympic games were held at Olympia. Socrates was the teacher of Plato. Plato was the teacher of Aristotle and Aristotle was the teacher of Alexander the Great, the king of Macedonia. Plato founded the learning institution named Academy. This is very important. Academy, the learning institution, was established or founded by whom? It was founded by Plato. Aristotle founded the learning center by name Lyceum. This is also very important. Lyceum, the learning center, was founded by whom? Aristotle. Demosthenes was a great orator. Homer, blind poet, wrote two great epics, Iliad and Odyssey. Extremely important, not just their names, but also what they talk about. Like see, Iliad, it talks about the victory of the Greeks over Troy city. Whereas Odyssey narrates the journey and the adventures of the Greek hero Odysseus while coming back home from the victorious Battle of Troy. Please remember this. It is very important and it will be definitely asked. Herodotus is called as the father of history. Sophocles wrote Oedipus, the King and Antigone. They sang using a string instrument called lyre. Pericles built the Parthenian temple. This is very important. Who built the Parthenian temple? It was Pericles. A sculptor named Myron has sculpted a discus throwing athlete's sculpture called as Discobolus. Polygnatus was the most famous painter. Pythagoras and Thales were the two stalwarts in mathematics. Democritus gave us the atom theory. Anaximander spoke about the evolution of humans from fish, again important. Hippocrates was called as the father of medicine, important. Olympics started 2750 years back in Olympia, again important. Greeks won the marathon battle against Persians 2500 years back. A soldier named Pheidippides, remember his name, Pheidippides, ran 24 miles to deliver the news of victory to Athens from the battlefield. After giving the news, he died. So in his honor, the marathon running was added to the Olympic Games. Before that, the marathon running was not there. But only in the honor of Pheidippides, it was added in the Olympic Games. Olympic Games, very important. It began in Greece in 776 BCE. Once every 4 years. Even today, Olympic Games are conducted once every 4 years. It was previously used as the measurement of time. So it was used for the measurement of time. Olympia in Ilis area. Olympic festival was celebrated in honor of the peace pact between Ilis and Pisa city-states. This is important. The race of over 200 meters was called stadium, therefore, the term of the measurement of distance was stadia. Olive branch was put on the head of the winner. This is important. It was done in the previous, Olympic Games. Christian emperor of Byzantine, Theodosius, he banned Olympic Games in the 4th century CE. But again, the Olympic Games were revived in the 19th century under the initiative of France. This is to be remembered as to who banned it and who revived it. Alexander was the son of the King Philip of Macedonia of North Greece. Alexander died while returning after a war at the borders of India at Babylonia in 323 BCE. Let's now study a little about the philosophers. The first important philosopher was Socrates. Athens city was known as the city of intelligence. Athena, Athena was the goddess of the city Athens. So she says that the most intelligent of the Athens is Socrates. So all the people of the Athens came to Socrates and asked him as to what makes you the most intelligent person of the Athens. Socrates replies that I really don't know. Similarly, you also don't know. But I know that I don't know, but you don't know that you do not know. By replying this statement, he unfolds the vastness of knowledge and philosophy. Knowledge is virtue and virtue is knowledge was the foundation of the Socratic thought. This is important. Socrates told his students, I am not afraid of death, but I am afraid of going against religion and truth. The second important philosopher was Plato, the architect of the idea of ideal republic. Very, very important. Please remember this. Who was the architect of the idea of ideal republic? It was Plato. Started a school named Academy in Athens. It became famous as the first university of Europe. Again, very, very important. Which school was called as the first university of Europe? It was Academy, that was started by Plato in Athens. His works are The Republic and the Text and History. The third important philosopher was Aristotle. His thoughts came to be termed as the progression of Plato's thoughts. He established Lyceum. He told his students, I respect my teacher, but I respect the truth even more. He replied, he studied deeply the investigative techniques in research. What did he study? Investigative techniques in research. Then the next civilization is the Roman civilization. Italy is a peninsula. Rome developed on the banks of the river Tiber. In the plains between Alpines and the sea, a tribe named Latins lived. Okay. See, this is Italy. Okay. Here we have the Alp mountain ranges at the north. In the middle, we have the Alpines, and here we have the sea, of course. Between the sea and the Alpine mountain ranges lived a tribe named Latins. The ancient people of Rome were called as patricians. The word patrician originated from the Latin word patron, which means father. Romans believed Romulus and Remus as their forefathers. Important. Romulus and Remus as their forefathers. The Romans had assembly and a senate as two political advisory institutions, assembly and senate. 6th century BCE, monarchy was abolished and republic was established. There were two classes in the Roman society, the patricians and the plebeians. Again, very important, patricians and plebeians. Here is the map which shows you the extent of the Roman civilization. This is where the Roman civilization developed. And this is a picture of Pantheon. How beautiful it is. It has the largest dome in the world. Based on the Roman law was established. Romans fought with Carthage for the control of the Sicily for 118 years. These wars are referred to as Punic Wars. Okay, this was Italy. Okay, and there was a small island over here. This island was called as Sicily. For the control over this island, Romans fought with Carthage for 118 years. Those wars were called as what? Punic Wars. The wrestlers of the ancient Rome were called as gladiators. The place where gladiators fought was called as amphitheater and colosseum. Recently, a film titled Gladiator became very famous. Do you know who was the main lead? If you know it, then please comment below. The rule of the first triumvirate, consisting of Crassus, Pompey, and Julius Caesar, started in Rome. Julius Caesar implemented the Julian calendar. Augustus' previous name was Octavius. This is important. The second triumvirate consisted of Augustus Caesar, Mark Antony, and Lepidus. Augustus assumed the title of Imperator. Again, important. The period of Augustus Caesar is called as the golden period of Rome. This is very, very important. Whose period or whose rule was called as the golden period of Rome? It was Augustus Caesar. Jesus Christ lived during his period. Augustus Caesar declares he changed the Rome from a mere bricks city into white marble city. Pax Romana was established. Pax Romana means what? Peaceful period of Rome. Pax Romana means peaceful period of Rome. Virgil is Rome's greatest poet. Aeneid was his epic poetry. Virgil's epic poetry was Aeneid. Ovid is another poet. He wrote a book called as Metamorphoses. Important. Ovid wrote the book called as Metamorphoses. Metamorphoses documented the mystical stories of Greeks. Julius Caesar was also a historian. He edited the Gallic battles in 7 volumes. Julius Caesar was a historian as well. He edited the Gallic battles in 7 volumes. Cato is known as the Socrates of the West. Very, very important. Please remember this. Who was called as the Socrates of the West? This was asked several times in the previous competitive exams. It was Cato. The answer is Cato. Stoicism advocated living at peace with nature. What is this Stoicism? It is the school of Greek philosophy, Stoicism. Then, Colosseum and amphitheater, they are, constructions. Then we have Pantheon, that is the largest building of Rome with the biggest dome in the world. Cupid's statue and Arapacis statue are the best examples of sculpture. Pliny the Elder prepared an encyclopedia named Natural History. Again, important, this can be asked. The works are very important, they will be definitely asked. So please remember them. Natural History was written by Pliny the Elder. Galen was the famous doctor, Strabo and Ptolemy, famous geographers. Laws of Romans are the base of all the modern laws. Then we have the American civilization. Maya, Aztecs, and Inca are the ancient Columbian civilizations of America. Commemorative idols depict leaders and kings. These are called Olmec. This is a map that shows you the This is a map that shows you the American civilization. Okay. This is another map that shows you where did the particular dynasties ruled. The Mayas ruled here, Aztecs were here, and the Incas were here. They were small dynasties, but they were very important. The first is the Maya civilization. The American Indian Aborigines of Yucatan area of Mexico are called as the Mayas. Their language is called Yucatec. Around a large site named Tikal. So Tikal is the name of a site. Pyramids, palaces, and courtyards have been found. Stone figures were called as steles. Steles. Their writing, the hieroglyphic, is based on the ideographic symbols and sounds. There were 850 characters in their writings. The Dresden Codex. Dresden Codex is the book. It used to predict the dates of eclipses. Again, important. This is very important. Okay. Dresden Codex is a book. It predicted what? The dates of eclipses. The second civilization is the Aztec civilization. Texcoco is a lake in Mexico. Aztecs built their city on an island in this lake. They are called Tenochca, a name derived from their legendary ancestor Tenoch. Their city was called Tenochtitlan, the stone rising in the water. Important. What is the meaning of Tenochtitlan? The stone rising in the water. The city is called Mexico. Their language was Nahua. City was called Mexico and their language was Nahua. The Aztecs' oral literature is called as the Indian Codices. Spanish army entered the Mexican Valley in 1519 CE. Tenochtitlan, the capital of Aztecs. Was Tenochtitlan was the capital of Aztecs. The small islands around the island city had been converted into agricultural land. So these were called as Chinampas. Well, see, this was the mainland. Okay. There were small islands around their empire. These small islands were converted into agricultural land. They used to cultivate on these small islands, and these small islands came to be called as Chinampas. Chinampas. The Aztecs were the worshippers of nature. When the temple pyramid of Tenochtitlan was dedicated, around 20,000 prisoners were sacrificed. Yes, in the Aztec civilization, there was human sacrifice. Human sacrifice was practiced in Aztec civilization, and this human sacrifice, the culture and the practices of this Aztec civilization terrified the Spanish army or the Spanish people who had been there. So the Spanish army under Hernando Cortes in 1517 caused their cultural defeat. Then we have the Inca civilization. Tupac was a prominent leader of the Incas. Tupac. Inca Empire was divided into 4 provinces. The land was divided into 3 parts. One was for families, the other 2 were for sun god and the king respectively. 2 famous buildings of the Incas, the palace on the island in Lake Titicaca and the Moon Temple. They were the 2 famous buildings of the Incas. Most important buildings are in Peru. The sun god was the most important deity of the Incas. Important for Incas, who was the most important deity? It was the sun god. God Viracocha was responsible for all creation. Again important. God Viracocha was responsible for all the creation. Here we have completed the 5th lesson. The 6th lesson and the last lesson is the rise of Jainism and Buddhism. Emerged during the 6th century BCE. Vaishyas who were engaged in animal husbandry and business were called as twice born or Dvija. This is very, very important. It was asked several times in the previous competitive exams. Who was called as Dvija or twice born? It was Vaishya. Vaishyas were called as twice born or Dvija. By 5th century BCE, iron implements came into use. First, let us see the Jainism. 24 Tirthankaras are there in Jainism. Rishabha was the first Tirthankara, important. Parshvanatha was the 23rd Tirthankara, again important. He was the son of King Ashwasena. Four principles for a peaceful life that was given by Parshvanatha were non-violence, truth, astheya, which means do not steal, and aparigraha, which means not to own the property. The 24th Tirthankara and the most important of all the Tirthankaras was Vardhamana Mahavira. His father was Siddhartha, king of Gnatrika tribe. Mother was Trishala Devi, princess of the Republic of Licchavi. He achieved enlightenment, that is Kaivalya. Enlightenment means Kaivalya at the age of 42. Remember the ages, okay? It is very important. He came to be known as Mahavira and became a Jina. His followers were called as Jains. He attained Nirvana at the age of 72nd, at his 72nd year in Pavapuri in Bihar. Again important. He taught five vows and three principles. Three principles were called as three ratanas of behavior. The five vows were truth, non-violence, astheya, aparigraha and brahmacharya. Basically, what Parshvanatha had taught, the four principles, they are they are that only. That is truth, non-violence, astheya and aparigraha. Only brahmacharya is added. Then three ratanas of behavior: Samyak Gyan, Samyak Darshan, and Samyak Charitra. Samyak Gyan, Samyak Darshan, Samyak Charitra. Important. Jainism places God at a lower level than Jina. The process of purification is called as Salekhana. There are two sects in Jainism, that is Shvetambaras and Digambaras. Shvetambaras are the people who wear white clothes and Digambaras are the people who do not wear any clothes. After the first Jain council, the preachings of Mahavira were compiled in 12 volumes, and these 12 volumes were called as 12 Angas by Jains. Again important. They were in the Prakrit language, important. The famous Kannada poet Pampa, Ranna, Janna, Ponna, they were all Jains. Buddhism. Siddhartha, that is Gautam Buddha, he was born in 6th century BCE. His father was Shuddhodana. He was the king of the Republic of Shakya. Buddha means the enlightened one. The meaning of Buddha is the enlightened one. He gave his first sermon in the Deer Park in Saranath near Banaras. So Saranath near Banaras is a deer park. That is the place where he gave his first sermon, and his first sermon is called as Dharma Chakra Pravarthana. This is important. He preached four noble truths and eightfold path, which is called as the middle path. Eightfold path is called as middle path. So eightfold paths are right action, right speech, right vision, right effort, right recollection, right resolve, and right thought. So all right. At the age of 80, Buddha died at Kushinagara. It is called as Mahaparinirvana. His relics and bones were preserved in Chaityalayas and stupas. The Chinese traveler Fahian, Itzing, and Huinsang, they described Buddhism vividly. Gigantic statues of Buddha in Angkor Wat of Cambodia and Bamiyan of Afghanistan. So we find gigantic statues of Buddha were all in the Angkor Wat of Cambodia and in the Bamiyan of Afghanistan. In 1956, inspired by the teachings of Buddha, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar embraced Buddhism. Three Pitakas, Vinaya Pitaka, Dhamma Pitaka, and Abhidhamma Pitaka. There were three sects in Buddhism, that is Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. Last, Alexander versus Paurava battle. This is very important. See, Alexander was invited by the king Ambi. So he was an Indian king. He was the king of Takshashila. He somehow wanted to defeat Paurava. Paurava was a very important king and he was also called as Porus. So Alexander and Paurava, they fought against each other on the banks of river Jhelum. The river Jhelum was full of water, and Paurava never thought that anyone will cross this river and come to him to fight and will defeat him. So he was like very relieved. But Alexander crossed this river Jhelum, fought with Paurava, and defeated him finally. After defeating him, Alexander asked Paurava as to how he would like to be treated. For that, Paurava replied, as one king deserves to be treated by another. The most famous art that developed during this time was Gandhara art. Gandhara art. So here we have completed the sixth lesson and the final lesson as well. The first part of the 8th standard textbook ends over here. Now let's play quiz. The first question is, Chittor's Vijay Stamba victory pillar tells us about what? The options are A. The victory of Maharana Pratap Singh, B. The victory of Rajputs, C. The victory of Ranakum, or D. The victory of Prithviraj Chauhan. And your time starts now. Be quick, you only have 10 seconds. And the answer is yes. It is C, the victory of Ranakum. Second, the first industrial site of human beings was A, where stone tools were created, B, where fire was used, C, where the wheels were made, or D, the industry of Harappan civilization. Your time starts now. Please be quick. And the answer is A, where stone tools were created. Third, Rig Veda has dash number of suktas or prayer songs. The options are A 1000, B 1028, C 1100, or D 1200. Be quick, and the answer is B 1028. Fourth question, Jews called the ziggurats as what? A. The towers of peace, B. The towers of seclusion, C. The towers of mercy, or D. The towers of Babel. And your time starts now. Be quick, be quick. And the answer is D. The towers of Babel. Fifth question, who established Lyceum, the learning university? A. Socrates, B. Aristotle, C. Plato, or D. Alexander. The time starts now. And the answer is B. Aristotle. The sixth question, Buddha attained Mahaparinirvana at the age of A. 72, B. 80, C. 90, or D. 100. Be quick. You're supposed to be very quick. And the answer is, come on. The answer is B. 80. So what's your score? Please don't forget to comment down your score. Thank you for watching. Please do like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you.